Estate Radio begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and we're broadcasting on AM 700 KSCV, the voice of Texas. And we're your voice for Texas real estate news and information you can use. We're coming to you from the RREA.com studio in Spring, Texas. You can join us here every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. for all the latest real estate news and information. Today, we're talking about things that pertain to you and your real estate transaction. We always take your real estate questions and answer them on air, so you can give us a call at 281-882-8088. And we have a great show lined up for you today. We are going to begin with our leading real estate economist from Texas A&M University. Dr. Jim Gaines is Skyping in today from College Station. And then we'll have Rita Santamaria from Champion School of Real Estate discussing the changes in real estate agents over the past year. And over the past few years, actually. And to wrap up our show, we have Chuck Jacobus, a real estate attorney, talking to us about lease to own or rent to own here in Texas. So we're going to begin the show, and I want to welcome Dr. Jim Gaines from the Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M University. And great to have you joining us.
Thanks, Shannon. Good to be here. Sounds like I'm in illustrious company there with your following guest.
We always love talking to you. You bring us such great news about what's going on, not only in the Houston market and in the Texas market, but a nationwide perspective as well. Sure. So since we're going to have you on for a couple segments, I'd like to start with the first segment and really talk about the national view and how Texas fits into that. And then in the second segment, we'll go more into the Houston market and Texas under the microscope.
Sure. Okay.
All right. So from a national level, how do you think the market's doing? Are we coming out of this recession yet?
Yeah, it's like going on the long family vacation and the kids in the back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And it seems like it's been going on forever. The general consensus appears to be that this may be our bottom year or trough year, and maybe we're going to start seeing some improvement. The problem is what we've had is this kind of a recession, this kind of economic cycle is the type that leads in. You go down into a low, as we've most definitely done,
sure.
And you tend to stay there for a while. So you kind of bounce along a bottom.
Right.
For a while. It's not like you come down and you hit a definitive bottom and then immediately bounce back up and return into prosperity. This is a different kind of cycle.
Because we had those types of recessions before, and it was easy to see when you were coming out of it and full speed ahead, and this is different.
If we had a bunch of charts and graphs like economists like to use, we could show you what the so-called V-shaped recovery looks like. That's where it bounces off of the bottom. This isn't that type. This is very much different. The last kind of cycle we had like this, quite frankly, was the 1930s. And remember, that took more than a decade.
Wow.
So what we're looking at is, we think we've gone down because, and the reason I say that is because most of the measures that we look at, employment, manufacturing indexes, production indexes, unemployment rates, export-import data. There's a whole variety of things that are looked at. And by and large, most of those are being positive, but just not terrifically positive. And not enough to get excited about yet. For example, just 2 days ago, they revised the first quarter GDP number downward from 2.2 to 1.9%. So the rate of growth is just simply not as good as it should be. Let me give you a relative for that. Since 1947, the average rate of growth in GDP on a quarterly basis is like 3.3%, if you want to call that the average. So 2% or 1.9% is well below average.
Right.
And that's unusual after you've had a decline, because generally the arithmetic simply works that you look like you have a better improvement than you do. So what we're saying is, and this is a long way of saying, the national economy looks like it's trying to recover. It is doing it, but it's very slow. It's very sluggish, and it's kind of counterintuitive. Interest rates are low, and
Right.
that's for the real estate market, but also just general interest rates, corporate borrowing rates, those kinds of things, very, very low.
Are you starting to see at the national level more commercial properties moving?
Yeah, I saw a report not long ago that indicated there was some of that. Some of that, I think, was because the 5-year mortgages of 2007 and 2008 are coming up.
Okay, so they're okay.
And it's influencing that.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of the commercial loans were 5-7 year, even though 30-year AM was 5-7 year term.
What about the foreclosures from a national level? I know here in Texas it seems that foreclosures have gone down significantly, and we've, of course, seen policies being put in place to help with all of that. From a national level, what do you think? Where are we going with the foreclosures? Better or worse?
Well, I can tell you the statistics are the numbers are way down for the last year, year and a half. The number of foreclosures, the number of properties having filings put on them and so forth has come down significantly. Now, the unknown is that, as you are probably well aware, there was this legal maneuvering going on between the 50 states attorneys general and the top 6 mortgage servicers and mortgage lenders. And they have announced a settlement, but they haven't signed the settlement.
Okay.
So while they've said, yes, we have an agreement, they haven't actually made the agreement.
Okay.
And during this time, though, while they were negotiating the settlement, the lenders and the servicers who were in charge of doing the foreclosures got real nervous about what was going to happen and how it was going to all work out. So they slowed down. They voluntarily, purposely, in fact, several of them put out moratoriums to their offices and just said, slow it all down, because we don't know what this is all going to shake out and look like.
Right. Okay.
The good news is that the economy and the housing market just sort of across the board has gotten at least a lift better, that maybe there was going to be some improvement anyway.
Right. I think summer helps with that.
Summer helps with that. I mean, I can tell you sales are up, sales volumes are up across the country as a general thing. Prices are up a little bit. But the foreclosure, back to that, it dropped off. What we don't know is how big of a backlog there may be. And there's some evidence here the last 60 days that maybe some of these lenders are beginning to work off some of that, or are now going to address that backlog. And we may see a period of time, and I'm guessing here 3 to 6 months, where all of a sudden we have a surge in foreclosures when all this settlement is done and the lenders or the servicers figure out that legally they know what they're doing and can do it. And we'll see a little bit more of that.
So that may bring investors back into the market. Because I know at the beginning of the year, investors really thought we were kind of hitting the bottom. We were seeing a lot of investment properties being absorbed. And that could have helped with the absorption of all those foreclosures.
Oh, absolutely.
So what do you think? You think we'll see another jump for investors? Do you think there will be another flood?
I think there might be. I think there might be. Now, the good news is, yes, I think there might be. The not quite so good news, if you're on the investor side of this, I don't think here in Texas or in Houston that it's going to be that pronounced, because I think we have cleared a good bit of our inventory.
Good.
It's also true that Texas is a non-judicial foreclosure state where you don't have to go in front of a judge.
Right.
So in those
Quicker
states,
process. And
the process is different. In those non-judicial states, Texas being one of the biggest, actually the biggest is California, then we have tended to clear our baffles better than some of the others. Now, for the investors, one of the interesting questions I'm getting all the time is, and I'm jumping ahead maybe to our next segment a little bit, but how come the inventory is down? The listings, the sheer number of listings in months. Inventory is down.
Right.
And one of the reasons is we haven't been seeing the REO properties and the distressed sales hitting the market in the volume we did about a year or so ago.
Yeah, I think that's good that it's being absorbed. I think that's how we're going to eventually get our housing prices to move back up and get things back on track. So I think that's good.
It's absolutely essential. I mean, it has to.
What do you think from a national perspective, what do you anticipate is going to happen with both interest rates and with the housing market as we come into election season?
That's a good question. First of all, the easiest answer right now is on the interest rates. The interest rates are going to stay where they are.
Okay.
We just set a new record low for the week of May 31st. It just came out this morning by Freddie Mac. 15-year fixed is under 3%.
Isn't that wild? Oh, I just love that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you would think with those kind of interest rate costs, I mean, basically it's free money. I mean, the automobile industry was using it for years. You remember all the ads about, 1% or no percent, 0%. I mean, they were using the financing to try and get people to buy cars with free money. And you would think that that might show up a little bit more in our real estate markets, but it's not. Because the flip side of it is so many people can't qualify for the loans in the first place.
And do you think they're still just nervous too? They just don't know what to expect, what to anticipate, so they're just kind of holding on. I know I've had a lot of sellers that have wanted to sell, especially baby boomers. You know, they want to get onto that retirement house. And now they're like, well, do I retire this year? Do I wait a couple years? You know, maybe I'll wait and retire in 2 years and then sell. And then, you know, so I think that...
I understand that one completely. I are one.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this segment, and we are going to come right back and talk more about the Houston market and the Texas area. So we'll be right back with that. I'm Shannon Register, and I'm proud to be the voice of real estate in the Houston area, and we'll be right back with Dr. Jim Gaines after this commercial break.